Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at the KB Knives protocol. That's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this knife was sent in by Fred the Lug. He's a very dear friend of the channel. He's very prominent in the knife community. So if you guys see him in lives, make sure to give him a shout out. So thank you, Fred. This was designed by Pan Urine Design, and Pan Urine, I believe, his most notable design was the KB Eclipse, which was, I believe, KB's first integral knife, and personally my favorite knife out of their lineup. Pan Urine is now part of the Katuo design team. He's got some really, really amazing stuff coming out, so you guys definitely want to check him out. I'll link his Instagram down below. And then, of course, the OEM for this knife is KB Knives. Now, jumping right into it, this is, on the surface, pretty simple, right? Like, we've got some milling lines. We've got a plain titanium. We don't have any colored hardware or anything like that. Very minimalistic look. We have the KB logo right here. We do have matching lines on this side. And then we have a triple stripe lock bar relief cut. And then in the back here, we've got like these little holes milled out. And I don't know why, but I appreciate that they're there, because that could have just been a flat spot, right? That didn't lead to anything. But the fact that we've got those nice little milled cutouts in there, it almost looks like you could put like I don't know, like a bead or something in there. Not that you would. I'm just saying, like, if you got like the same size bead, you could just like push it in there. I know that's not what it's intended for, but you see stuff and you think, oh, I wonder what would fit in there. That's what she said. But so I do appreciate that quite a bit, and I do appreciate a minimalist design as long as it has some character to it. And I believe this semi-industrial aesthetic this knife has serves it really, really, really well. We do have a little 1/3 backspacer back here. We do have a spot for a lanyard. We went with the pig snout, which is fine. It adds a little more character to it, and satisfies the lanyard lovers. But while this design is simple, aesthetically, it's not simple from like an engineering perspective. So like you can look at this knife and just go, "Oh, that looks pretty plain." No, it's like, no, it's not plain. Like, this milling here is enough to give you meaningful traction in your grip. We've got some nice kind of like contouring, not necessarily contouring, but kind of like contouring. All the edges are rounded and soft. Even where it looks like there might be a hot spot or a pokey spot, it's not. This was definitely made with the end user in mind, which I really appreciate. Let's talk a little bit about the ergonomics. So as far as the ergos go, this knife is very comfortable. There's no hot spots on it. Pocket clip disappears in my hand. So ergonomically, it's solid. Like, you could take this to the factory and go 8 hours and not have to worry about a hot spot. You might get tired. You don't have to worry about a hot spot, though, right? Knife feels very good in hand. I wear large size gloves. I can hammer fist it, right, pretty easily. No jimping except for the front flipper. I kind of wish there was a little bit, like, you can just fully extend your thumb and be, fairly locked in, but I think a little bit of jimping would have gone a long way. Maybe taking it out to like here, right? Now, so we have incredible access to the lock bar, and it's super easy to push over, right? Plenty of access there. The finger grooves here and it's weird because they're straight, right, and angled. So like initially that would seem uncomfortable, but in hand, what happens is my pointer finger goes right here, and then my middle finger kind of lays right in this pocket, and it just feels good, right? Just comfortable. So let's talk a little bit about this blade shape. So this is what I'm going to call a, it's tough. I'm going to say a sheep's foot though. We have a beautiful hand satin, kind of gives this knife a custom feel to it. Yeah, beautiful hand satin on it. We have a very practical and useful blade shape. It's not terribly hard to get the tip down for your precision cuts, but you can also, get a really monstrous grip on this thing and just plow through boxes, right? So big fan of that. Very handsome swedge up top. And we have this kind of like triple stacked light effect where like the light hits the swedge differently, it hits the flat differently, and then it hits the blade differently. So aesthetically, I think that's super appealing. But overall, very functional, useful EDC blade. And that's kind of what I was saying is like the end user is definitely in mind here because, this is a knife that like you get it in hand and you're like, man, I could really do some work with this. Like, um, I would I would go as far as to say that this might even be my second favorite KB knife, just under the Eclipse. Really big fan of it. We are rocking M390. So M390 has good edge retention, fantastic corrosion resistance. It's not the toughest steel, but if you notice how thick the blade stock is up here towards the tip and how it maintains that thickness, essentially what Panarin did was he offset the weakness of the M390 with it not being very tough. He offset that with blade geometry. Because if the steel's not tough, but it's a quarter of an inch thick, then the steel's pretty tough now, right? And I always like it whenever through blade geometry or through coatings, like DLC, you can subvert the weakness of the steel of your choice. And I just think it's cool. It's really creative. You can cover the weakness of your steel by adding DLC to it or by fixing the blade geometry or something along those lines. Let's talk a little bit about the action. So, thumb studs first. Very snappy, very easy to deploy. Minimal travel required. This is not on skiffs, nor has it been taken apart and oiled. This is just natural action out of the box. Probably the easiest front flipper I've ever used. I mean, if not the easiest, pretty dang close to it. Like it takes no effort, doesn't chew your thumb up. It's got very nice, fine jimping that goes all the way up and around. Can I? Yes, I can. And that's a pretty big blade to be able to do the reach around with. So the acoustics. So this knife has a very nice like shunk whenever it opens up that I really enjoy. The acoustics on the way down are fine, nothing too crazy, but the acoustics on the way up I really enjoy. And this thing is a fidget beast. I mean, the thumb flick, reverse flick, thumb flick. I mean, all of it works just phenomenally well. As far as the sharpening life, we have very clear edge termination right here. So you're going to get a ton of life out of this blade. You could really one and done this knife. Like it might not be within, there's knives you can one and done that are way, way less expensive than this. You can get one and done knives for like $50, where you can literally just use it until it's dead and then get another one. But if you're in this kind of price range, we'll cover price in a minute, you could one and done this knife based on its ergonomics, based on its blade shape, based on the blade steel and things like that. Like definitely like an EDC beast. So let's talk about specs. Does that stop pin? Oh, okay, it's an internal stop pin, which means the stop pin is actually part of the blade. And if you look inside there, you'll see kind of like a scallop. So instead of there being an external stop pin, it's an internal stop pin connected to the blade, and the blade rotates the stop pin through these two grooves, and that's what causes it to stop. No super advantage there, except you don't have to worry about having an external lock bar, right? So like I prefer this method because you don't have anything back here kind of jumbling it up. You just rotate, and that's it. So as far as specs go, we're looking at an overall length of 7.72 inches, a blade of 3.35 inches. We have a blade to handle ratio of 0.77. Anything above 0.3 is acceptable. 0.77 is fantastic. And let's see. Yeah, we can see he essentially crammed every bit that he could to hit that blade to handle ratio, right? Clearly that's something that's important to him because you don't hit those numbers on accident. And then as far as an overall weight goes, we're looking at 4.24 ounces. It is a bit of a chunk. We do have light milling on the inside for weight reduction, but this whole piece right here doesn't have any of the milling. The milling's pocketed, back here. So that's going to cause it to be a little bit heftier. It doesn't feel like 4.24 though, if I'm being totally honest. That's just what's on the KB website. If I had to guess, I would say maybe like 3.8, 3.9. But I mean, that's just a guess. You just probably follow the KB website. They know better than I do. Now, let's do some size comparisons. Up against the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen, one of the best Civivis ever made, next to the Visions. And we'll put it up against the Real Steel Sylph, made slightly shorter because I rolled the tip. So we're definitely coming in bigger than the Sylph, a bit smaller than the Civivi. And then finally, one of my favorite budget knives of the year, no longer my favorite, the Migron Gotov. And we are coming in substantially larger than the Gotov. All right, so what's the price on this guy? Well, for this version on the KB website, it's $240. Do I think that's a fair price? So KB marks their prices up intentionally because they give you a 20% discount, right? So 240 is too much for this knife, but 240 isn't the realistic price for this knife either, right? Because if you take off 20%, you're looking at like 192, if my math is correct. And not only that, but this knife is available at White Mountain Knives, so you get an additional 10% off, and that brings the price of this knife down to just $173. Use code S7, just one letter, one number, S7. That'll get you down to that price of $173, and at $192, this knife is fantastic, right? At $192, it's under $200. It's a winner. But at $173, I mean, I know I've been saying it a lot lately, but I've also, shared some really awesome deals with you guys. At $173, this is a no-brainer. If you like the look of this knife, and you like what you've seen in this video, if you spend $173 on it, you will like it. You're going to enjoy the action, the feel in hand, the usability. Like, you will enjoy this knife. What I like about this knife is that minus the KB pivot, this to me could pass as like an American custom, maybe like a Christensen Knife Works. And I'm not saying that to say it's a copy of anything. I'm just saying that this knife brings those quality essentials, right? Where it's not overdone. it kind of lets its awesomeness do the talking for it, right? It didn't have to be anything flashy or anything crazy. The beautiful hand satin on the blade, and then just the fit, finish, and feel of it. Like KB really knocked this out of the park. And Pan-Urin made a really functional, easy to use, premium feeling design. So yeah, I'm a tremendous fan of this. This is my second favorite KB knife. I haven't handled all of them, but I've probably handled about 15. So the Eclipse is my favorite, and now the Protocol is my second favorite. So is this knife recommendable at 192? Yes. At 173, oh god, yes. For me, this would be a daily carry, even though it feels custom-esque. It wouldn't be a collection piece. I would use the crap out of this thing. But what about for you? Is this something that you would add to your collection, or is this going to be a daily carry for you? Or did this knife just miss the mark entirely? If so, let me know down in the comments. I'm interested to read your thoughts. Other than that, please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And until the next time, guys, peace.